Good morning, everyone. Our next presentation is on Balance Your Immune System with Homeopathy with Deborah Hayes. Deborah Hayes is a certified classical homeopath and nutritional therapy practitioner. In private practice as a homeopath since 2001, she found herself increasingly giving nutritional advice to her clients. After doing her own research into diet and carrying out some N1 experiments, some more beneficial than others, Deborah embarked on a course of study with the Nutritional Therapy Association and now advises clients on WAPF-based nutrient-dense foods to support and enhance their homeopathic healing. Deborah also holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and is registered with the North American Society of Homeopaths. She has served as editor-in-chief of the American Homeopath, a journal for professional homeopaths, since 2009. So let's give her an applause.
Well, thank you, Christy, for that nice introduction. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to balance your immune system using homeopathy, and also giving you some suggestions for things that you can do right now to help your immune system. These are things you can take away and do tonight, potentially, to help balance things up. So I'd like, first of all, to thank Christina and all her team for putting this great event on, and also to thank all of you for coming and showing how much you care about your health, because in this world, it's increasingly important that we take responsibility for our own healing and our own balance. And so I would like to help you to do that today. As Christy pointed out, I am a nutritional therapist and homeopath, and I work with men, women, and children of a huge range of ages, and I help them with a wide range of health issues, some of which is to do with allergies, sensitivities, environmental, food, dietary, and we just help them to balance up their systems. Homeopathy is a really, really effective way to do this. It's very safe. It's very gentle. It's been around for around 200 years. It was developed by a German doctor called Samuel Hahnemann. I don't want to go into too much about how homeopathy works or its history, because what I want to do today is to show you how to use homeopathy. I'm going to talk about some simple remedies that you can use for relieving acute allergy symptoms. And we're going to look at some dietary strategies that you can use as well. So let's think about, to start with, what are the types of immune system balance that are possible? That's one of the things we're going to do to start with today. We're going to look at homeopathy for, as I said, acute symptom relief for allergies. We're also going to look at homeopathy for long-term treatment of allergies, because reducing the acute symptoms, so when you're in the midst of an allergy attack and you've got streaming eyes and a runny nose and a terrible headache, that is what you want to deal with right now. But if you want to reduce the frequency and the severity of those attacks, you're going to need to address them in a long-term way. So homeopathy for acute symptoms can be effective within minutes sometimes, if you get the right remedy. Homeopathy for longer-term treatment to actually reduce your susceptibility to the allergies, to reduce your immune system's reaction, that can take several years of treatment. And I'm going to, whoops, I'm pressing the button by accident. I am going to talk you through a case of mine that shows how that worked. So we're also going to look, as I said, at things that you can do now. You can take these suggestions home with you, and as I said, you can put some of them into action tonight. But if it's okay with you, I would like to tell you a story. Can I tell you a story? Yeah. Okay. So this is a client of mine. She's been my client for over 10 years. So she is currently in her late 50s. And when she came to me, she had been suffering from chronic asthma and digestive sensitivities, digestive issues since she was a kid, and she was taking multiple medications when I first saw her. She had a tendency to repeated sinus infections, and she had a lot of digestive bloating. We later did a blood test on her, and she was allergic, or sensitive rather, to 120 different foods, which is quite a list. Some of them were pretty severe sensitivities. So we worked on all of these issues with a combination of homeopathy and nutritional therapy. She was especially concerned about this. I mean, this was really affecting her health. She was worried that she might lose her job because she'd taken so much time off work because of these repeated asthma attacks and wheezing. And she couldn't do the thing that she really, really wanted to do. The thing that she loved most was to go horseback riding. She loved horses. And of course, in the summer when she went horseback riding, it was hot, it was dusty, it was dry, and those were all things that set off her environmental allergies and her sinus problems. So, what did I do? When I first saw this lady, who I will call A, my practice was entirely based on homeopathy. And so what I did was I took a very complete case. So that's looking at current symptoms in a lot of detail. So homeopaths look at symptoms in much more detail than a lot of other practitioners, especially conventional medical practitioners. So we want to know what makes your symptoms worse, what makes your symptoms better, what triggers them, how do you feel in different situations, what's your really precise medical history. I wanted to look at her personality, her temperament, and the things that really made her different to everybody else who has asthma and respiratory problems. Because homeopaths are not interested in putting you into a box and saying, oh, you have X diagnosis, X disease label. We want to know what makes you different to everybody else. And so we can really hone in on a remedy, a homeopathic remedy, that is truly tailored to your symptoms, your situation, your concerns. So, the next thing that I did was we used nutritional therapy, because at that point I was qualified as a nutritional therapy practitioner. So, the main focus that I had with this lady was on her digestive health, because as we'll see later on in the talk, the root of allergies and sensitivities in a lot of people lies in the gut and the health of your digestive system, and we'll look at why that is. So my first point of call for this lady was to supplement her stomach acid, because if your stomach acid is not working right, you are not going to start your digestive process right. And if your digestive process doesn't start right, then the rest of your digestion is just not going to work. Everything is going to be out of balance. So we looked at stomach acid, we looked at digestive enzymes, we looked at probiotics. We obviously cut out the problem foods, which was kind of a challenge to start with when you're sensitive to 120 different things. And we did a food rotation of the things that she could eat. And again, that was kind of a challenge because she had a fairly small list at that point. But we wanted to make sure that she wasn't eating the same foods over and over day after day, because that's another recipe for starting yourself to be sensitive to foods. And the foods that she did eat, we really focused on nutrient-dense, real foods. Okay, and we'll look again at what that is later. So, what happened? Well, I am very pleased to say that after a few years of treatment, she no longer has asthma attacks, she no longer has sinus issues, she no longer has digestive problems, she doesn't have bloating, and she no longer needs to take any medications. She was on 4 or 5 different medications when she came to see me. Now she doesn't take anything apart from occasional homeopathic remedies. She continues to take stomach acid and enzyme supplementation just to keep that digestion ticking over properly. And as I said, she takes occasional homeopathic remedies as needed to keep things moving in the right direction and to address occasional issues that come up. So the remedy that I used for her, and I will say that this isn't a remedy that is going to work for most people in this room, because this was very tailored to this lady's unique personality type, was a remedy called argentum nitricum. And we used that for several years, and gradually her issues have dissipated until they are no longer there anymore. She came off the medications, I have to stress, in conjunction with her pulmonologist, who told her basically, when you've been 6 months without any asthma attacks, we can start to reduce your medications. So at that point, when she started to reduce the medications in consultation with her physician, she had not had any asthma problems for 6 months. And she continues to not have any asthma problems. No sinus headaches, no bloating. So can I just get a kind of an idea of where we're at with you folks in terms of like a show of hands for who is suffering or experiencing any kind of immune system issues right now? Okay, fair number. All right. So we're going to look at what that means, okay, in terms of how homeopathy might be able to address that. I'm going to put my homeopath's hat on now, okay? This is my homeopath's hat. Because when I'm working with clients, I often say, okay, I'm going to put my homeopath's hat on now, and I'm going to put my nutritional therapist's hat on now. So I have brought two hats so that you know what I'm about. So homeopathy looks at what is the nature of your imbalance of your immune system. Okay, so we tend to categorize things in one of three ways, just broadly. And some people can have a little bit of more than one of these tendencies. So, is your immune system tending to be underactive? In other words, are you getting frequent colds, frequent infections? You come down with every virus that's going around. Anybody kind of experiencing that? Or have a family member? I mean, it's often kids that do this when their immune system is kind of learning the ropes. Okay, so that's one possibility. The other possibility is that your immune system can be overactive, so it's revved up, it's reacting to things that it shouldn't be reacting to. And that's often the issue when you have dietary or environmental sensitivities. It's reacting to things that it should just adapt to, okay, and just roll with. The other possibility for immune system imbalances is that your immune system is actually attacking your body, and those are kind of autoimmune issues like multiple sclerosis or celiac, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that. Homeopathy has solutions for each of these condition types. We use different remedies for each of these kind of situations. So, again, these kind of problems take a while and they take long-term treatment. But we have remedies that can help with acute allergy symptoms. So would you like me to tell you about some of those? Can I share some of that with you? Okay. So, gosh, watch this. Onions, okay? There is a remedy made from onions, red onions in specific. And this is a great example of how homeopathy works. So just imagine yourself, you're in the kitchen, right? You're getting dinner ready. You're chopping up some onions. What happens? Yep, watery eyes, runny nose may be stinging, eyes may be stinging, okay? So if you think of those symptoms, do they seem similar to some symptoms that you could have sometimes when you have an allergy? You're out there in the spring and your eyes start running and your nose starts running. So this is the example of the fundamental principle of homeopathy, which is called like cures like. So you may have heard of this. I don't know if any of you heard of homeopathy, used homeopathy? Okay, that's great. So the idea of homeopathy, and this is where the name comes from, homeopathy, homeos, similar, pathos, suffering, so it's Greek, so similar suffering, in other words, using something that causes a certain set of symptoms in healthy people in tests to cure that same set of symptoms in a disease situation. So let's look in a little bit more detail at this remedy. And then we'll compare it with another remedy, and you'll get another idea of a little more closely how homeopathy can work. So as we said, this is made from red onions, and it can help with symptoms like burning eyes with a watery discharge, not irritating your eyes. It's not going to make your eyes sore or raw. It's just going to be a lot of it. And you have the congestion, you have the runny nose, you have blocked nose. And the discharge from the nose, and this is kind of the important thing, because we need to make a differentiation between the next remedy and this one, that discharge is very irritating. It's going to make your nose feel sore. So if you've ever had like a nasal thing where you've got all this stuff coming out of your nose, and your nose is really sore, and it's not just from wiping your nose. It's like your nose inside, your upper lip can be really kind of sore and raw. That is an allium cepa type of nasal discharge. And it's kind of a keynote for this remedy, what homeopaths call keynotes, the real important thing about this remedy. So you may get a headache in the middle of your forehead, which is kind of like some sinus involvement. And there may be a cough, you may feel kind of hoarse. And homeopaths are very interested in things that make you feel better or worse. So this remedy is worse in a warm room. It's worse, as you might expect, with like seasonal allergies, from the smell of flowers. Now, we're going to compare that with the next remedy, which is a remedy called euphrasia. This is made from a plant called eyebright. And again, we've got what seem on the surface to be fairly similar symptoms, but if you look at the details, they're kind of different. Okay, and this is the kind of thing that you need to be observant of. So eyes, again, are very irritated. But with this remedy, that discharge is going to make your eyes feel really sore and raw. And your eyelids are going to be red, they're going to be swollen. You may have some kind of conjunctivitis type symptoms where your eyes are very, very red, the whites of your eyes. Again, you're going to have a runny nose if you need this remedy, but it's not going to be making your nose sore. And bursting headaches, the kind of headaches here, they kind of pow, boom, bursting headaches. Again, worse from warmth. And because the eyes are so involved in this, bright light is going to irritate the eyes. The eyes are going to be sensitive to that. But if you can see the difference, it's like with this one, you've got raw eyes, and with the previous one, you've got raw nose. And that's the way you tell the difference. And sometimes with homeopathy, you need to look in that level of detail to get the right remedy, because the remedy is not going to work unless the match is good, right? If you've ever been down to like Whole Foods and bought a remedy and taken it for something because it said there's a couple of words on the tube and it didn't work, well, it didn't work because it wasn't the right match, right? So here's another remedy for allergy symptoms, and this is the kind of symptoms that have sneezing fits. This is a big sneezing fit remedy. So this is made from the seeds of this plant called sabadilla, and the symptoms are very focused on the nose, really. You've got this itchy, tingly, irritated feeling, not exactly sore, but just tingly, itchy inside your nose. And just real, like total sneezing fits, like you're sneezing over and over and over again, and then you have a little break, and then you'll start sneezing over and over again. And your head tends to feel very just like full and dizzy and heavy. And again, you get sore throat, dry, maybe a feeling of a lump in the throat. Better for warm drinks and very sensitive to smells and odors. So this is probably making you think not just of allergy symptoms. I mean, this is like I'm a Brit, and so this is what Brits would call hay fever, right? This kind of sneezing, head feels full, dizzy, can't really think, just feel pretty crummy. But you could also use this for colds, because this is a very similar set of symptoms to a typical cold symptoms. And this is a remedy that you could use for that. Okay. So taking remedies. I don't want to overwhelm you with a huge number of remedies. I just want to give you a few, just to give you a feel of how you can use it. But there are some tips for how to take remedies. So homeopathic remedies don't work in the same way that you would go take an over-the-counter antihistamine or something like that. They actually are working to bring down your body's sensitivity to this thing that you're reacting to. And the first thing when you're using homeopathic remedies is the symptoms have to match, because otherwise it won't work, right? Otherwise you've wasted your $10 on buying the little tube from Whole Foods. So speaking of that, you can buy them from Whole Foods, you can buy them from places like Sprouts, Pharmaca. A lot of natural food stores will sell remedies. You can also, and we can look at this later, you can also buy them online. There is a very good local pharmacy, homeopathic pharmacy here, called the Hahnemann Pharmacy, Hahnemann Labs, and they make excellent remedies, and they have a website, and you can buy them online. It's HahnemannLabs.com. So most of the remedies that you will see in the stores will be either a 6C or a 30C potency. So you can see the little number there after the name. Okay, that is what's called the potency of the remedy. And that, I won't go into the details unless you especially want to know. And I can go into that after the talk a little bit in question time. But this is kind of a function of, from a practical point of view, the healing potency, the healing strength, the healing power of the remedy. So when you see a 6C on that little tube, and then you see a 30C, the 30C has more healing power, is the best way, in a simple term, that I can explain it to you. It's actually also related to the manufacturing process of the remedies. But as I say, I don't want to get sidetracked into that. I want this to be more of a practical talk today. So you can take remedies up to maybe 3 times a day for like allergy symptoms. You can take them every couple of hours if the symptoms are really severe. What I would say is that 2 things. As soon as you start feeling better, reduce the frequency of dosing or stop taking it altogether, because the remedy starts a healing process in your body. It's not the remedy that's doing the work. It's your body that's doing the work. It just needed a little bit of help. The remedy is a catalyst to your body's own healing processes. So it's not the remedy that's having the impact, it's your body. And once your body has started that process, you don't really need any more of the remedy, unless your body kind of runs out of steam and your symptoms come back, in which case you would take some more. The other caveat is, if you don't feel better after 3 or 4 doses, then for some reason that remedy is not right for you. It may be that you didn't quite get the remedy match that you needed, or it may be that the potency is not right for what your body needs. Because remedies come in lots of different potencies, lots of different strengths, and people vary in their sensitivity to those potencies. Some people respond very well to lower potencies, some people need higher potencies. So that's kind of where we're at with using remedies. It's actually pretty simple. You're guided by the intensity of your symptoms in terms of that number. The more intense the symptoms, the higher that number typically needs to be to address them. We are skipping ahead here. Okay. If you have taken 3 or 4 doses of that remedy and you haven't got any improvement, then as I said, stop taking it. And if you would like more advice, then call a homeopath, because we have many, many more remedies at our disposal than you can buy in the stores. And we have many more potencies, because when you go to the store, you'll typically get 6C or 30C, and maybe occasionally a 200C. But if you need that 200C and the store doesn't have it, then you're a bit stuck. So that's the point at which you might want to get in touch with a homeopath. So, I'm going to look at why do you have allergies and sensitivities? And at this point, I'm going to put my nutritional therapist hat on. Okay. So, simply put, okay, the root of your allergies and sensitivities is likely to be in your gut. And yeah, part of my sparkle has come off. So, if your digestive system is not working right and you're not digesting your food right, then it's going to irritate your gut. And that irritation is going to cause what's called eventually a leaky gut. And so you get inappropriate molecules passing through your gut lining, and that's going to start sensitizing your immune system. Not just to those foods, but potentially to a range of other things as well, because then it's putting your immune system into overdrive, which is the overactivity that we were talking about to start with, right? Some people are more susceptible to that than others, because we all have a kind of an underlying tendency in certain directions that's inherited. So some people may be able to eat whatever the heck they like and get away with it, whereas others can't do that. So the reason that your gut is important is that most of your immune system is located in your digestive tract, in your intestines. So you've got your microbiome that I'm sure you've heard quite a lot about this weekend. And so that is a major part of your immune system, getting that balance right. The other thing that's in your gut is a bunch of lymphatic tissue that is part of your immune system. And those are called Peyer's patches, and they are around your intestines. So between those two things, you've got probably around about 75% of your immune system is linked to your gut. So this is a really important thing to get right. And again, I am sure that you've heard a lot about this weekend in various talks. So I'm not going to labor the point. But fundamentally, you need to start that digestive process right. Now, most of us get told by ads in the media and by our doctors that we have too much stomach acid. You know, take the antacids, take the Pepsid, take the Tums or whatever. In fact, for a lot of people, that's not true. Especially as we get older, we tend to have too little stomach acid. And when we have too little stomach acid, that whole digestive process does not work as well as it should. Because that acid, first of all, it starts the breakdown process in your stomach. It activates digestive enzymes in your stomach. It also, as that food passes out of your stomach and into your small intestine, it stimulates your pancreas. Now, we all know pancreas it puts out insulin for blood sugar regulation, but it also is a major organ in your digestion. So it puts out sodium bicarbonate to neutralize that acid from the stomach, and it puts out enzymes to start breaking down your food. If you don't have enough stomach acid, the pancreas doesn't get stimulated in the right way, and so you don't have the right pH for the rest of your digestion, and you don't have the right enzymes. And so then your food tends to start to ferment, basically, which is why my client was having all that digestive bloating, because everything was kind of fermenting and putting out gases, and so she was just blowing up like a balloon. So if we can get that right, then all those nutrients from your food get broken down properly, and you can absorb them, because it doesn't matter how great your diet is or how many supplements you're taking. If you can't absorb it, there's no point, right? And if you can't get those nutrients right, and you can't get them broken down into the correct molecules, then you're going to irritate your gut, you're going to start to damage the gut lining, you're not going to feed your microbiome, and you get into this real kind of destructive cycle. So basically, eat healthy food, get your digestive acids in your stomach working right, and supplement it if necessary, and support your microbiome. And you can take probiotics for that, you can use fermented foods for that. If you eat a nutrient-dense, balanced, healthy diet with mostly vegetables on your plate, you will be supporting your microbiome, especially if you cut out sugar and processed foods. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next. So what can you do? Okay? This is the practical bit, right? This is what I want you to take away. So you can do a number of things. And most of these things are things you can actually go home tonight, drop by the store, or just change your routine a little bit and get these things going. So first of all, drink plenty of water. Most of us don't drink enough water. We drink tons of coffee, we drink tons of soda perhaps, we drink smoothies, but we don't drink enough water. And water is really important, especially when you have sensitivities and allergies, because it does a number of things. It dilutes the histamines in your system so that they don't irritate, they don't cause all those symptoms. It thins mucus so that then you can start to blow out all that mucus that's kind of stuck in your sinuses. It helps everything to flow through. A lot of your nutrients are obviously water soluble, so that needs to carry them through your body. And there is a nice little formula for your water consumption, which you may or may not know. And in case you don't know, if you take your body weight in pounds and you divide it by 2, then that is the number of fluid ounces of water that you need to drink in a day. You may need to drink a little bit more if you drink a lot of caffeinated drinks or coffee, or if you drink a fair amount of alcohol, because both of those things have a tendency to cause your body to pee out more fluid, and so you need to replace that. Up to, you get that calculation, so if you weigh 180 pounds, you would be drinking 90 fluid ounces of water. The maximum you would want to drink is 100 fluid ounces, because otherwise you're just flushing everything out. You're just flushing out minerals and nutrients. So that is the first thing. And again, something doesn't cost anything, right? Drink more water. Avoid processed foods. Oops. Avoid processed foods. That's kind of a no-brainer for this kind of event. Everybody's going to be telling you that. But there's a really simple way to do that. You know, all of the processed foods, when you go into the store, are in the middle. Right? If you walk, all the way around the edge of the store, you get the fruit and vegetables when you walk in, you get the dairy counter, you get the meat counter, you get the fish counter, you get the bakery. It's all around the edge. All the processed crap that makes somebody money is in the middle. So you can save time and improve your health by just shopping around the perimeter of the store, okay? You obviously want to be avoiding sugar. You want to be avoiding basically white foods. So white sugar, white rice, white flour, white pasta. Cut out all of that refined stuff because it's irritating, it's inflammatory, and it doesn't have any nutrients. In fact, it costs your body nutrients to digest and process it. So, I don't know how many people here are involved in the Western price movement? Okay, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir here a little bit. But for those of us who are not that familiar with that kind of way of eating, then basically just cut out the processed stuff. The other thing, again, I'm going to be preaching to the choir with the Western price folks, but eat healthy fats. Eat enough healthy fats. We all got conned back in the 60s and 70s that fats were this terrible demon food group, and especially saturated fats, animal fats. It turns out that research is now catching up with the fact that that's not true, that we need healthy fats. Fats do a number of really important things in our bodies that help to support immune system health. So they help you to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, and especially vitamin D is really important for immune health. And a huge number of people in this country are deficient in vitamin D. So healthy fats, what would healthy fats be? Healthy fats are things like you know, the superstar of nutritional advice, you know, olive oil, but also ghee, butter, ideally from grass-fed milk, from grass-fed cows. Coconut oil is a great fat. And again, this is not going to sit well with conventional medicine, but beef tallow, lard, duck fat, goose fat, they are all really healthy fats for your body. Your body makes your cell membranes out of fats. And apart from anything else, it makes food taste good. Right? A lot of flavor components in your food are soluble in fat. So if you add some fat to a meal, you either use a dressing or put some butter on your vegetables or cook with it, food is just going to taste so much better. You know, the French have known this for a long time, you know. Next thing is low glycemic carbohydrates. So that's what I'm saying. Cut out the white stuff, cut out the white rice, the white flour, the white pasta. My favorite, aside from just vegetables, my favorite source of low glycemic load carbs is fermented sourdough bread, and especially rye bread, because the glycemic impact of that on your body is really low. And it's actually, I make my own. It's really easy to make. Most of it involves just mix it and forget it, right? It takes about 20 minutes total time to mix it, 12 hours to leave it for the first rise, 6 hours to leave it for the second rise, and then you bake it. You can do it overnight or while you're out running errands or at the store or even at work. So low glycemic load carbs, lots and lots of vegetables. My advice to my clients is at least half of your plate should be vegetables. You don't have to be vegetarian, you don't have to be vegan. That's not something I would recommend from my own personal experience, because I've tried it. But basically, half of your plate, vegetables of different colors. Full of nutrients, full of fiber, feed your microbiome, give you lots and lots of vitamins and minerals, as long as you can absorb them back to stomach acid, right? So high quality protein, this is, again, don't have to eat a ton of it, just have to eat like a palm-sized portion is a good portion of protein, okay? So grass-fed, pastured meats, if you can get wild meats, that is the best. Game is, is wonderful. There is actually a website that you can buy this from. It's called brokenarrowranch.com. So you can, and they go out and they cull deer populations, wild boar, to stop them basically eating themselves out of house and home. And with the wild boar, they're kind of a pest. But pastured meats, beef, pastured pork, pastured poultry, pastured eggs. So there's a theme here, pastured, right? So that they're able to eat what they're designed to eat, these animals. You are what you eat, and you are what your protein ate also. Wild-caught fish, high-quality dairy, again, grass-fed if possible, raw if possible, because you maintain the nutritional integrity that way. Fermented foods, so get out that crock, and make your kimchi, make your sauerkraut, make your fermented vegetables, make your yogurt. All of this is not going to transform your microbiome, but it's going to support it. Yeah. Again, for gut healing, bone broths are like the new superfood, right? The Western Price has been saying this for decades, but now everybody else is catching up. It's full of nutrients to support your gut health. Collagen, glutamine, all kinds of things in there that will support your gut health and help your gut to heal. The thing about your large intestine is that it does not have a terrific blood supply. So it doesn't get fed from your blood supply, it gets fed from what your microbiome produces to feed the cells in your gut lining. And so that's the other reason why your microbiome is so important for your gut health and your immune system health. So we have a nice thing here of nutrient-dense foods, all kinds of things in there that we have already talked about. And I know the previous speaker was talking a lot about this, the time when you eat. And I'm not going to tell you you need to fast, because I think that's maybe a little extreme to start with. But if you can make your meals, your eating in a window, I don't like to call it fasting, it's like your eating window. And if you can start by making that eating window 12 hours, that's not too difficult for most people. So if you eat your breakfast at 7 in the morning, then you should finish your dinner by 7 at night. And no snacks. In this country, we eat so many snacks that we eat from morning through to midnight. Oh, I just have a snack. I'm just a little bit hungry. I'm a bit peckish. I need a snack. And the typical snacks are, unfortunately, usually processed foods, right? Oh, I'll just have a cookie. I'll just have some chips. I'll just have, whatever I can buy from the vending machine. That is not how our digestive systems are designed to work. Our digestive systems have their own kind of periodicity, their own periods when they're active and when they're wanting to have a rest. So your gut really, really wants and needs to have a rest overnight, and it will do a lot of healing in that period when you're not eating. Every time you eat, it has to, oh my God, they've put something else in here again. I've got to start dealing with this stuff. It needs to rest, it needs to heal, it needs to regenerate. And you can do that with a 12-hour window, where you have a 12-hour window for your eating and a 12-hour window for your gut to have a downtime. Ideally, progressively, you can reduce that eating window maybe to 11 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours. Everybody is different in what suits them. This is the thing. In terms of food and in terms of how you eat, what you eat, everybody is different. We all have different metabolisms, so somebody can eat whatever they want and stay thin as a rake, and somebody just has to look at a cookie and they gain 3 pounds, right? So we're all different. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. So in homeopathy, there's no one-size-fits-all solution because people need different remedies due to different symptoms. In nutrition, there's no one-size-fits-all situation. Everybody needs a slightly different way of eating and different foods that suit their metabolism. But we can all benefit from eating nutrient-dense foods, from avoiding processed foods, from drinking plenty of water, and from eating fermented foods, and giving our bodies a rest. Okay. So, thank you all for listening so nicely. Whoops, I think I'm pressing buttons by accident here. So to say thank you, I would like to offer you, if you're interested, a free 20-minute consultation. I sent around a sign-up sheet that if you're interested, you can put your name and details on. So that's where you can ask me some more questions. I can give you some more tips and suggestions, and we can see if there's a way, again, if you're interested, if you want to move forward and learn even more. So go to my website, call me, email me. I have I don't know if you have a goodie bag, I have a little flyer in there that there is a free course that I'm offering in a kind of a time-limited way. I think it expires on the 23rd of October, for how to use arnica for first aid situations. And that gives you a lot of information about how to use the arnica, situations you'd use it in, also more detail on how to take remedies. So it's a bit more detail on that. And so that's my free gift to you for coming here. It usually costs $27, but for a limited period, it's free. So until October 23rd. And so with that, if you have any questions, please ask away. Yes?
Oh, yeah, thank you. That was really nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my father has tinnitus.
Yes.
Florida. He was in. Let me do the mic. Okay. Hello. Thank you.
Wow.
That's really loud. Okay. So I've been trying to help my father. He's about 74, 75, and he was in the army in Israel, and maybe being a bit stubborn, he didn't wear his hearing protection.
Ah, okay.
So he has had ringing in the ears, also known as tinnitus or tinnitus, for about 50 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I went to nutrition school, so I've been, after him for a while to try different things.
Yes.
And I found a remedy for him online, and then they were a little shady with their business. They didn't send follow-ups after I paid them. So I looked up and I found a company through a friend that also has a different formula. And I talked to the woman in Washington State who has this, and she says, well, I have a couple, pick your one you think's the best, and I sent it to him. And I told him just follow it, and it says like you said, 3-4 times a day, 3-4 pills, whatever. And I also have I have the ingredients of the original formula from the website that I found.
Yeah. So
you said that it's 50 years. How long should I wait till we know if it does anything?
So if I'm understanding you right, he's taking a kind of a formula that's a mixture of different remedies. Yeah? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's been taking it for how long?
I just think it arose last week.
Oh, okay. So it's going to take a while because this is damage that he's sustained 50 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to... I will say that it may be possible that if it's really seriously damaged, that it may not be able to help. So that's the first thing, that it's possible that he may not get his hearing back. But it is going to take a while. It could take several months. But I would caution you, because of the way that I've been trained as a classical homeopath, I would not tell anybody to take a mixture of remedies every day for like weeks on end. And the reason for that is because I explained about the way homeopathic remedies work in the body, is that what's acting to have that healing impact is not the remedy directly. The remedy is a stimulus or a catalyst to your body to heal itself. Okay? And so, first of all, when you take mixtures of remedies, you don't know, one of those remedies is going to be working. Only one of them is going to match your dad and his symptoms and his situation. Okay? So what they do when they make formulas is that they pick, the manufacturers pick a selection of remedies that often help with a given condition. So there are a number of homeopathic remedies that can help with hearing damage and can help with tinnitus, right? And so they will have picked what they think are the main remedies from that range, and they will have put them in this formula. So only one of them is going to work. But if none of those remedies in that mixture is the right match in terms of symptoms for your dad, then it may not work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but is there any harm? Should he stop after like a month if there's nothing?
So the answer to that is maybe, because I'm going to give you a bit of homeopathic theory here. Okay, so how do we know? So we have people with symptoms and we have remedies that we say, okay, these remedies help with these particular symptoms. Okay, how do we know what symptoms a remedy helps with? That's a good question, isn't it? Well, some of it comes from clinical observation, but a lot of it comes from what homeopaths call provings, which are volunteers, usually homeopaths or homeopathic students, take a remedy repeatedly until they develop symptoms. Now, what does that tell you? If you take a remedy too many times in too short a period of time, you can actually develop symptoms. Now, those symptoms are usually temporary, and they wear off after, well, it depends, maybe a few days, maybe a couple of weeks. But if you take a remedy repeatedly for months or years, you can keep those symptoms for a very, very long time. And so remedies don't have like chemical side effects or toxicity, but they do have the impact or the ability to cause symptoms in your body if you take them too long or too many times. So that would be the risk that your dad would face. So I would say First of all, be cautious about remedy mixtures. It can seem like a kind of a cheap way to get homeopathic treatment because, yeah, well, something's going to work in here, but it may not, depending on different places have different mixtures of remedies that they'd use for different circumstances. And if you're lucky, one of those remedies will match your particular symptoms or your dad's symptoms. If not, then it's not going to work, unfortunately. And it may be worth him going to actually consult with a homeopath, because given that this is a chronic condition, homeopaths take into account a whole range of different pieces of information when they are coming up with their analysis and they're deciding on a remedy. And some of that is the physical symptoms. Some of that, as I said, is the personality and temperament of somebody. Some of it is responses to foods and climates. So there's a whole range of different things that we bear in mind when we are selecting a remedy. And so if your dad was to go to and have a consultation with a professional homeopath, he would get that level of kind of tailored attention. And he would probably get a remedy that works better. And there are homeopaths in Florida. There is actually a really, really good homeopath in Florida.
Yeah, I'd like to hear because I've been looking.
Come and talk to me afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, I'll be around. I'll be wearing a hat. And you can come and talk to me. I'll be sticking around for a while. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.